Okay, so just to restate the claim is that we exempt the military from the current sequestration policy passed by Congress. And my opponent stated that keeping the military in the current sequestration will have negative economic consequences. Whereas it would have negative consequences, it does have a lot of benefits that outweigh those negatives. So first of all, according to thirdworldtraveler.com, $1 billion creates about 25,000 jobs in weapons manufacturing, but that same $1 billion would create around 50,000 jobs in healthcare or 40,000 jobs in education, and these jobs benefit the community and society a lot more than just spending it on the military. And also from the World Traveler, enlisted men and women who are struggling to support their families should receive a fair wage and adequate housing and health care, as do people who work. So with cutting the military spending, a lot of veterans and people that did get discharged would be receiving more money because there wouldn't be as much money being spent on the current military and new weapon production and everything. And reducing excessive military spending would allow us to provide the short-term economic stimulus needed to continue the progress that we're making to break out of this recession. So with all the money, with all the money that we would save from cutting the military, we could spend to help our create jobs and help our country get out of the recession, help us get out faster. My opponent goes on to say that we should take the money from less important programs and use it to military funding. Or I think we should do the exact opposite and take money cut from the military and spend on more beneficial programs to benefit the society. In the United States, cuts in public sector spending have caused the loss of 550,000 public sector jobs, whereas cutting the military would, just by cutting it by a quarter or even half, would result in less, and that would create a lot more jobs, public sector jobs. If the military's cut, more money will be going to these jobs, which will benefit the society more than the military. In fact, economists tell us reductions in military spending will have far less negative impact on jobs than comparable reductions in Medicare or infrastructure, according to foreignpolicy.com. When Americans look at the amount of defense spending compared to spending on other programs, they see the defense is one that should take a substantial hit to reduce the deficit. Compared to other, there's around $677 billion spent on defense spending, while the next highest is only $70 billion, which is education. So just by cutting that, a lot more money could go to these other programs that would help education, which doesn't have, in a lot of places doesn't have that much funding. And there are, the military has a lot of sort of pointless technologies that are really expensive. For example, according to dailycoast.com, the F-35, which has a price tag of about $1.5 trillion, which is like a fighter plane, it will most likely never be used, and our tax dollars are hard work to create a plane that will never be in use. And productivity in the men and women designing it, they have jobs, they're not benefiting to the economy at all. Or consider a congressman who wants to build $3 billion worth of tanks that the military doesn't need because they already have plenty of tanks and other vehicles. Every dollar spent on military spending is a dollar not spent on making something that will help all Americans. If the money that was spent on these vehicles and military weapons was to go into public sector jobs to create a lot more jobs for there that would benefit the economy, like selling stuff like cars and food and everything, which creates a better cycle and helps the economy get back up. And if money spent on military went more towards people, it would be put to a better use. And my opponent goes on to say that with more money going into the military, we will benefit by having a stronger defense. If the military is cut, the government will have more money to help the economy and use it for other programs. The U.S. spends 18 times the combined military budget of the other next or biggest nations such as Russia and China, and so our military is definitely big enough as it is, and is actually way too big, so it should be cut, and does not need to be growing at all. Well, the United States is spending upwards of $650 billion on its military, including the cost of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria, and this is far more than it spends on Medicare and other programs that go back to our country and not to other countries that aren't necessarily that important to us. National security means more than just military power, because a lot of people think that if we've been military, we'll have better national security, but it doesn't mean that, since our military is big, we have good national security. To sustain a secure nation, federal spending must be balanced among military defense, the policy and programs that provide economic security, such as education, healthcare, and job training.
I'm going to cut you off at this point because you're over time. You're doing a good job with those cards, but I don't think that they always look. So I'll tell you what, when you get to the last one, hold it high.
Okay.
Keep them low for everything else, hold the last one high in case they're not seeing it.